So I discovered that my wife had been having an affair for what she claims was a year and a half with a colleague from work. She accidentally left out her spiral notebook planner for work on our desk, and inside it at the very front were printouts of email exchanges that had deep and intense proclamations of love for each other, with a handwritten note from her stating, "Remember these. I still feel exactly the same way." She even went so far as to state that she wishes they were married. The exchanges were dated 6 months ago, 9 to be exact, and the printer date was marked 2 months ago. She has known the guy for 5 years while working in law enforcement. He's a cop, and they were sharing their marital issues with each other, which she says she did to try to help us. When I confronted her about it, she was shocked, extremely apologetic, and pleading with me that she ended it 2 months ago. That she changed her mind about giving him the emails with the personal message because she wanted to work on us. I asked her for details: how long, how often did they have sex, etc., and this is where things get really vague with her. She claims that it was just a stupid emotional thing over emails, texts, and phone conversations, and that they had kissed only once in a parking lot. A kiss that is referred to as our first kiss. I called BS on all of it, but she absolutely will not budge, and her explanation becomes even more vague, saying that she was just being so stupid. How in the hell do you tell someone that you've never loved anyone like you do them with only a single instance of physical contact over a year? She apologizes over and over and says she hates that she hurt our family. A week has passed. My boss insisted I take the week off. I have friends that have taken me out to cheer me up with fun activities, mostly drinks, dinners, a hike, and even a strip club. I have tried to do a lot of self-care throughout, particularly working out, went out shopping for spiffy clothes, and eating better. It has helped a bit, and I've gone from just uncontrollable crying to rallying with hard, angry music to now a general depression and just feeling physically sick. What is really hard is still living here in the house for the benefit of our child. Logistically, it just wouldn't make sense for me to move out right away, since I take our kid to childcare, where I work, and she leaves for her job 2 hours before mine at 5 a.m. He's our number one priority, but I'm putting myself right after him. My wife has gone from uncontrollable crying in front of him to now just acting normal and extremely affectionate with me, to the point that I don't have a chance to really pull back. So I just stand there motionless as she clings to me in a hug and kisses me. Tonight when she did this, she told me we still need to do this, even if just pretending, so we can get better. She keeps asking me numerous times a day if I'm okay, and that she believes in us, that we can get through this. She's even tried to put a positive spin by saying that this is the first time in a long time that we've been able to have a real conversation without it escalating to screaming. Maybe this is what we needed, she says. I tell her that I'm trying not to express my anger, but really it's just because I'm so consumed with sadness. Granted, we have had problems that certainly I contributed to. She's a strong-headed woman and never one to apologize easily for anything. Whenever I'd raise a concern about how she'd treat me in a specific instance, as she can be a fierce woman, she would turn it around on me that I think she's so awful all the time. I would try to reassure her that I'm just talking about this specific thing, asking her to please work on it, but there was just no listening to what I was actually trying to say. Part of her explanation for the affair was, I'm absolutely not trying to shift blame or excuse it away, but it was just nice to talk to someone who didn't think I was this awful person. My issue with us was my escalation. My anger would rise out of frustration, and I would flood emotionally during arguments. There were times when I said hurtful things, like telling her that many of our friends had expressed to me that she was often berating. When we would fight, I would always make every effort to bring it back around and apologize for my part, and that I know times get tough, but I believe we can work things out if we get help. This was often met with her quiet stonewalling. Right now, I feel like she is rushing me to forgive her and start working on us. I told her we need to separate for now because I need time and space. The hardest part of all of this is our son and the toll I know it will take on him when I leave and we split our time with him. The compromise I made for his sake is that I'll always be here every night to put him to bed. But that is proving difficult with her intense affection and insisting on hugging, holding my hat, and kissing me. It's so aggressive. What bothers me most about this is that for well over a year we have had next to no sex. I was the only initiator, and she would always avoid me or make excuses. Even shame me that I put on weight and was unattractive. I used craft beers as a crutch because I need some pleasure out of life. She would keep my kisses short as well as my hugs, sometimes telling me I was being creepy trying to kiss her so much. Almost all the affection was coming from me. She turned 40 just last month, and my big surprise to her was taking her to a weekend romantic getaway, just the two of us, where we went wine tasting, had nice dinners, and finally made passionate love for only the second or third time in a year. That's why all of this just feels like such a punch to the gut. Part of me wants to just end it, but I get so depressed when I think about our son. The 19 years we've spent together, having to start over at 41 years old, selling our house, the extremely expensive housing market here in Southern California. And yet I'm not that angry at her, just devastated and intensely sad. I feel so utterly broken. More and more I feel like ending this. But at the very least we need a long separation that will be costly because I'll have to rent a place. And I'm even feeling guilty about doing this to her. I don't know what to do. I'm at a total loss. I did immediately go see a therapist who was excellent. I hate that she's put me in this spot of having to choose me or our family. Help, please. Any advice will be greatly appreciated. My ex-girlfriend 31 cheated on me 27 male with one of her customers. Now, 7 months later she's asking me to take her back. Uncharacteristically for her, she's begging and crying and showing tons of remorse. Should I consider giving her a chance? I dated my ex-girlfriend for nearly 2 years. I thought we had a good relationship and that we were progressing as a couple. She always told me she loved me and I loved her too, of course. I pretty much thought we were gradually working our way toward getting married. We adopted a puppy together. My career is as a personal trainer and fitness coach, and she is the assistant manager of a Pete's coffee shop. We had a 1-bedroom apartment together in the nice part of the city. Eventually, in a discussion that shocked me, my ex-girlfriend told me that she was in love with someone else and would be moving out. Apparently one of the regulars at her coffee shop is a somewhat well-known but still C-list actor, and she had been seeing him behind my back. I was totally blindsided by this. I thought it was totally unfair of her to throw our 2-year relationship away like that. However, I'm not a violent guy or one to show much emotion, so I accepted her decision. I was somewhat insulted but didn't say anything over the fact that she chose to tell me this news in a crowded restaurant, as if I would become violent in private. I drew the line at her entitled suggestion that I box up all her stuff and send it to what was supposed to be her new address. She also didn't even mention the dog we have together. All I did was tell her that I would take all of her things out of our closet and all her other stuff and put them in a big pile near the door. I told her that unless she intended to keep paying rent, that she would have to surrender her key on the 1st of the month. She was still on the lease of our apartment and would be for another 4 months, but that didn't matter to her. She never did come back for her things, nor did she return the key. Therefore, the landlord changed the locks at my expense $200 because technically I was reneging on the terms of our lease. Pretty much my ex-girlfriend didn't have many things anyway and just used my stuff, and although it was a struggle financially, I chose to stay in the apartment alone and just pay for it all without her input. Her whole contribution was half of the rent. I pretty much paid for everything else such as groceries, internet, us dining out, etc. When she didn't come back for her clothes and other things after a week had passed, I donated the items to Goodwill. I was pretty bummed, of course, and for a few weeks after our breakup I was very depressed. My employer was really cool and put me on a paid 2 weeks leave when she saw I was sad at work. She also paid for me to see a therapist on the weekends. Eventually I got over it and returned to work better than ever. I was curious to know about what my ex-girlfriend was up to, but I knew it was better than to try and find out. Nor could I follow her on social media because she blocked me everywhere. Fast forward 7 months, and I've been doing a lot better. I've been on several dates. It isn't hard at all to meet women in my profession, but nothing serious has come of them. This was mostly my decision. I even reached boyfriend status with a woman 29 I met at a concert, but broke it off with her after a couple of months. I'm still friends with her though, and we're cool when we run into each other, which is often. I realized that in a lot of ways I still kind of miss my life from when I was with my ex. Well, out of nowhere my ex just starts messaging me on Facebook, so I guess she unblocked me now, about how she misses me and wants to hear my voice. About how she made a mistake and was just confused. She went on to mention a lot of our shared memories together. In truth, I really do miss her, but I'm wondering why she's even trying to communicate with me again. When we were together, I liked the fact that she was in a lot of ways a strong and independent person, even if she didn't exactly pay for half of our mutual expenses when we lived together. Uncharacteristically for her, she began to beg me and plead me to see her. She said she was on her knees asking for another chance, that she'd never mess up again, that she was sorry and that she was a fool, and that she would behave from now on. This all happened last night and I haven't replied to her yet. She's sent me a couple more messages today continuing the same theme. She's sorry. She's begging me on her hands and knees. and all that. She also says that she understands if we can't be a couple, but that she needs me as a friend in her life because she's so sorry she threw me away. She also says that I should at least let her back into my life so she can see our dog. Well, he's sort of just my dog now, but I don't know. It just seems so out of character for her to be vulnerable and begging me. Could this mean that she really is sorry? Should I maybe give her another chance?